Hey, what's up, Liron here. Thank you for joining me in this video. Now, today I thought I'd do something a little fun, something a little different. I have a bunch of questions that I got from you, and I thought I'd start addressing them. I'm going to try going through all of these real fast. Now, I'm not sure about the camera setup because I played around with the settings. It may look bad, I don't know, but this is a good one to test it on because then you'll just have to listen to my voice and you have that option. So we're going to get started using the mic also to record this because the camera's mic is actually worse than the previous one. Funny enough. So let's get to it without further ado. A question I get a lot, and I got this one recently a few times. Do I stretch my paper and how doesn't it buckle? So it's very simple. It's something I have addressed in the past many times. I never stretch my paper. I don't know, every time I checked how to do it, it looked ridiculous, and I thought to myself, why would I do that? Why would I put it in the water? And I get it. I get that the people stretch paper, I assume, to get it to stay flat as they flood the paper with water, and it does have its pluses, but for the most part, for the sizes I paint, I don't really need to do that. The buckling isn't that bad, and you can deal with it even for larger pieces. The thing is, how do you prevent the paper from buckling? It's very simple. You tape it down really well all around it. Now, if you're using a larger piece of paper, the buckling is going to be very powerful. So the buckling energy of the paper. So what you want to do is use thicker tape that has more friction because it covers a larger surface of the surface on which you place your painting. Okay, so use thicker tape. Tape it all around the painting. And here's a pro tip for you: if you use a hairdryer to brush the painting, it will start flattening. Don't remove the tape, okay? Use the hairdryer, let it dry for a while, then remove the tape. It's gonna flatten out somewhat. Now, with any watercolor painting, for the most part, you're gonna frame it anyway, so once you put it behind glass, it's gonna squeeze it, and the fact that it buckled a bit won't be as bad. Okay, so this is the bottom line. I just don't have use for stretching. It's just a hassle to me, and it works the way I do it for myself, so that's how I do it. Again, tape well, use a hairdryer or let it dry thoroughly. Put it in direct sunlight, whatever you have to do before removing the tape. Okay. Another one: how do you mix black or dark colors? How do you avoid flat black colors? So this one's really important, and it's one I have addressed in a past video, so be sure to check that out. I will try and link it somewhere here. The thing with dark colors is I, as always, use my primary colors for it. I'll use a bit of blue, I'll use a bit of yellow, I'll use a bit of red. All of these mixed together lead to very nice and very interesting dark colors. So there are multiple ways of doing it. What you can do is first start just to grab a bit of every primary color, get it to look dark, and then try and control the temperature. So if it's too warm for you, add more of the blue to the mix. If it's too light, if it's too cool for you, add a bit of yellow, add a bit of red. Now the key is to use paints that naturally do get darker, and I have provided a tip about that in one of the recent videos, actually, about how to get a large darker wash. Use paints that actually are naturally darker, so you'll have an easier time, that re-wet easily. That's really important. But the way to avoid flat black colors is to just vary the temperature. Add a bit more blue, add a bit more yellow, a bit more red. I love seeing all of these nuances within the shadows. Okay, now also don't go maybe too dark. On 90% of the cases, you can go a little lighter, and that way people can still see the nuance in the color. If you just go as black as it gets, then you will get just a black color, which is, I guess, lack of color. If you go just a little bit lighter than that, your nuances will show better. Okay, so that's my answer to that. How to tie in elements in a painting. So I got this question after I talked about in one of the recent videos about connecting different areas together to simplify it for the viewer, as I always do. Now, how do you know what to connect within a painting? This is something I greatly struggled with. I had no idea how to do when I got started. I'm going to give you two tips, okay? Two ways of unifying or merging areas of the painting together to create a beautiful watercolor feel. One tip is idea-based. Now, this is harder, but it is important to go over. Idea-based. Do you want a certain area to kind of blend into the distance? that's the area you want to merge together. And I have shown you this in some of my recent paintings. I've shown you how when I want an area, especially in the shadow, to just merge together, I'll connect the object in the shadow, its cast shadow, maybe some foliage that's around it, merge as many of these as you think will work. My hair is terrible today, by the way. Merge as many of these as you think will work in terms of idea. If you want something to pop as your focal point in your painting, do not merge it with something else, because merging it will smoothen it out, will even it out, and you will get a diluted impact, which is fine if you want to send that to the background. So avoid merging together elements that you want to pop and to really stand out, and do that for areas you want to kind of keep quiet and silent. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Now, the second way I said I'll tell you about is the value based. If you see a couple of areas that have a similar value to them, feel free to combine them together, combine the wash together, maybe never create a separation like in a later wash, just leave it like that, okay, connect it together. So just another thing for you to have in mind. You could also go temperature based. If the entire background is, you want to keep it cooler, keep it more in the distance, go ahead and connect it with a big bluish wash. Okay, that's another option. By the way, when I say tying in elements together, it literally means connecting their washes. That's how I mean. That's what I mean when I say it, at least. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Next up, tips for drawing people. This is one of the hardest topics out there, and I do get asked about this occasionally. I'm kind of in a detour of teaching myself how to do it in a better way. I will say two things again. The two idea motif returns in this video. One is you have to have the knowledge, and this is incredibly misleading to many beginners. Like, I remember when I got started, I would just draw things as I see them. Now, the thing is, this can lead to great results, beautiful, spontaneous. Most of my books are based on this approach. You just draw the thing the way it appears, you measure, you drop a couple of plumb lines, you figure out this shoulder intersects with the ear, so you know they're in the same line, vertically or horizontally. This is great, but the problem is there are many things you will not notice if you don't have the knowledge of what they are. This is so true to anatomy. So the more I learn about the human body, the more I learn about the bone structure, the more I learn about the muscles, the more I can recognize these things in a model, in a subject, and portray them correctly. Okay, so the number one tip for you would be to study the anatomy. If you want to draw things accurately, if you want to draw people accurately, there's no way around it, there's no escaping it. You have to have the knowledge, because we're not talking about painting perhaps a landscape very impressionistically, where you have a lot of leeway, you can change things around. It's something that's quite abstract to begin with. It's a landscape. You do have to obviously have a lot of experience to get the result you want. Very often you have to learn a lot about how to draw and how to hold the pencil and the technique and all of that. But it's not really knowledge necessarily that's required here. When you're dealing with people which were highly trained to notice any inaccuracies, the, what do you call it? I forgot it, where it looks almost like in the uncanny valley. We are so quick to recognize when something is kind of human looking but not really. This is why mistakes in portraits pop out immediately. They really stand out like a sore thumb. You want to pay attention to these things. You want to get the knowledge. How is the nose structured? I have a pretty big nose. It's important to figure it out. Are you gonna draw it? Okay, this is really important. This is the first part. Now the second part is, believe it or not, gestures. Gesture drawing entails drawing the motion rather than following the exact contour you'll see. I find that this exercise helps me the most with pretty much anything. Any subject you may want to tackle, focusing on the gesture is key, because it just teaches you how to see things in a cleaner way, and that way you can portray them that way. So when someone takes a pose, you can get the action line, you figure out, okay, so the entire action of the body can be described with this one curvy line. Then within it, how do I add the anatomy so that it serves this gesture? Okay, and you can search YouTube. I'm going to do a video on it probably in the future. Search YouTube for gesture drawing. You'll find endless of videos on it. I highly recommend Proko, Stan Prokopenko, Proko. Always, he's one of the best. I learn a lot from him at the moment. So you want to focus on gestures, getting to draw the lines in a way that flows and serves the movement of the model, and anatomy. You cannot escape the knowledge if you want to have a very high level. If you just want to paint people from observation, you just want to enjoy it, sketch it in a fun way, feel free to disregard any of that. I'm talking about if you really want to draw people and you really want to do it well. There's no escaping it, and sometimes a little bit of knowledge can really go a long way. So if you just learn a bit here and there, it will add up. If you learn about the pec muscles, or you learn about the clavicles and the bone structure, you will remember these things and you will recognize them. And remember, the magic is in the details, as I recently got to say a lot. It's not a binary whether you drew something correctly or not. Okay, it's more like a knob. Think of it like a knob with different levels, so that the more you get better, the more and more and more it shows in your work. Okay, so don't be a perfectionist in that regard. Just the more knowledge you acquire, the more you practice, you will get incrementally better and better and better. So it's not like you have to go through all of this years of anatomy studies and years of learning about doing just 100 gestures every day. It's not like that. It is a gradual change. You will notice it. You will, a month later, you'll be like, wow, I was so bad back then and I'm so good now. Then 3 months later, you'll be like, I sucked 3 months ago. So all of these things, have in mind. Okay, I hope that comes through. Another question. Oh, that's a funny one. My courses format. So once in a while, people ask me how, if you buy my courses on my website, how do you get them? Well, it's not a package. It's not something that's delivered. It's digital only. There's no need to deal with shipping and delivery and so all of these logistical stuff. All you do is, once you purchase a course, and a lot of people are in the frustration-free watercolor course especially. I really do appreciate it and found it really useful for their watercolor skills. All you have to do is you make the purchase, and it immediately sends you you get an email with instructions. You just log in. You got lifetime access, and you just log in. You use the course. One of them, I have a trial, so it's not lifetime access. But in any case, it's just a quick one to address. Now, I'm going to actually end it with a funny one. This is not a question, really. It's a comment. Kim Hooligang said, so here's the thing. I was doing a video, and I was sketching using this thing. This pencil, or maybe it was even shorter, I don't remember, but I just used it. You see, it's a tiny pencil. I used them till they're like this, like, I don't know how to show you, like this long even. So Kim said, when that pencil is an inch long, Liron still won't get a pencil extender. I'm betting he'll use one when it gets as far as the eraser. So yeah, I don't often use pencil extenders. Now, the reason is funny, because I went to a couple of art stores here in Tel Aviv. None of them had pencil extenders, and I keep thinking to myself, do people don't know what people need here? And everyone complains, about things being expensive. Well, if you have a pencil extender, you can use the pencils all the way till the end, save a bunch of money. So I don't know why I couldn't find them anywhere. And actually, following your comment, I went on eBay and finally got a few. So like I don't know, a pack of 3 or something. So I will start using pencil extenders, and I will start having, I guess, an easier time drawing. I'm like that sometimes. It's so funny. Sometimes I'll avoid doing a little bit of work that will save me so much more work down the line. I don't know, I'm strange like that, but hopefully this strangeness also has its positive sides. So I'm gonna wrap it up now. I want to thank you so much for tuning in. If you have any other questions, I'm actually thinking about making these videos on a more regular basis and actually do more and more and address your questions, just because I'm getting a lot of comments, a lot of messages on every channel, and it's really hard to answer everyone. Like, logistically, I'll have to sit down for a whole day and I'll get through maybe half. And in order to create these videos for you, I can't afford it at the moment. So this is a good way to quickly address the topics. And it's a video, so it's part of the usual work. So I want to thank you so much. I want to apologize if it took me long to answer your question, if I never addressed your question. I know there's a bunch of them. I do once in a while go over and just reply to a bunch of them. So keep leaving your comments, and I will hopefully eventually get to most of them. And I'm just so grateful, really. It's crazy that I have so much feedback I don't have enough time to address. I mean, it's really crazy, because when I got started, I would get like 0 comments on a video, and then with time it started building up, so I'll get maybe 1 or 2 or 3, and it's usually the same people, which is highly appreciated. That's how it works with audience building. You get just a few people to start watching your videos, and it slowly and incrementally grows. And I remember a time when I would just log in every day and address all the questions, and now it's just impossible. So thank you for getting us this far. Almost at 100,000 subscribers, which is an insane number. I'm going to have to think of a way to celebrate it. If you have any ideas, let me know in a comment down below. I want to thank you once again for tuning in, and I will talk to you again in the next vid real soon.